The chair lays out as pending business, House Bill 2 by Buckley relating to the public education and public school finance. Relating to public education and public school finance. The chair offers a committee substitute. Members, first I want to thank you all for your help with House Bill 2. Since the layout on March the 4th, the dialogue between members on this dais has been productive. I believe that the testimony that we heard with 2 days of hearings, where we took a day to bring in experts and invited testimony, was productive. And then we spent an entire day on public testimony on March the 6th to hear from citizens across the state of Texas. And many of the things that were heard in that testimony are now included in that committee substitute. Many of the things brought to me as concerns by members of this committee are in the committee substitute. And when, at the last moment, when we were trying to get it right and trying to make sure that we had the impact that we needed for our public schools, and I could not deliver the runs in a manner that I felt was fair to members to look them over, I postponed the committee hearing. And so that's why we're here today. And I appreciate, first of all, your willingness to postpone the hearing and to continue to do the good work that we do. But most especially, I want to thank Vice Chair Bernal and his team. We've spent hours together talking about ways, and these are words coined by my good friend Vice Chairman Bernal. And it was basically Buckley, and this was as filed, Buckley House Bill 2 does a lot of good, but we need to make sure that we keep this about the classroom. And so today, that is our effort. And my commitment to each and every one of you is for you to understand that today is just another step in the long process of what it takes to pass a historic funding bill for public education. Many of you on this dais have participated in that in the past, and you understand the fact that it's a complicated system that often picks winners and losers. And as we look at the data and we think about the language in the bill, we want to make sure that we take care of our school districts across the state, from the coast to the Panhandle, from the Sabine River to El Paso. That is our audience, and that's who we are. That's who we're working for. I'm also proud to have our vice chairman as a joint author on this bill. And I told him that is my commitment, that we will continue to work together to make sure to get this right. Today I'd like to highlight some of the changes you'll see in the committee substitute for House Bill 2. Members, this bill still represents nearly $8 billion of funding for our public schools. Again, this is more money for the Texas public schools than any other prior piece of legislation, and this is a landmark funding for Texas schools. First, one of our big concerns from both the invited testimony and our public hearing was the basic allotment. This bill has increased the basic allotment that in the filed version increased by $220 to $395 for the basic allotment is $6,555. And it includes an ongoing increase in the VA every biennium that ties it to the growth in statewide property values through the golden penny yield. Another important point to understand that in that testimony, tying the VA to some sort of inflationary adjustment was heard loud and clear. This means we'll have more predictable increases in the basic allotment, and we'll fund all districts equally this way and further reduce recapture for those districts that are impacted by that process. The basic allotment is the most fair and equitable way to drive dollars where they need to be, and that is in the classroom. The committee sub also modifies existing statutes, prioritize increases from the VA to go towards salary increases for our teachers. And I want to especially thank Vice Chairman Bernal that recognized another key point from testimony is that too often those dollars go to starting teacher pay, where teachers with experience of 5 years and 10 years or so, as they go up the ladder, if you will, there is no ladder. This bill prioritizes teachers with 5 or more years of experience and 10 or more years of experience, with the desire to keep the best teachers in our classrooms. The bill also includes a formula transition grant, as current law says, to make sure that no district receives less than $200 increase per student. Now, let me be perfectly clear. When we looked at our runs, the runs that we delayed the hearing for, we found that there was disparity between districts, as there always is in any school funding bill. And that's why today, from this dais, you have my commitment to continue to work on that problem. We can start at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for whoever's willing, because we'll be starting to do that, to find out, to make sure that all of our districts receive the much-needed funding that they need. Additionally, pre-K has been added to the early education allotment, increasing money to districts and incentivizing more full-day pre-K offerings to Texas families. In the committee substitute, we've also increased all 3 emergent bilingual weights to provide an additional $450 million to districts to strengthen bilingual education. If you'll think back to the hearings, one of the things that the state of Texas, from public testimony to invited witnesses, they said down to the last person, was that we are doing well delivering bilingual education services that is so important to our state. And this bill makes an additional $450 million investment in that. Members, I want you to note that we've removed the high school advising allotment, since that policy is also embedded in House Bill 120, carried by Representative Keith Bell, which recently passed unanimously from this committee. The committee substitute for House Bill 2 also has removed much of the educator preparation language and focused on strengthening our existing Grow Your Own program, establishing it as an allotment which equips our districts to recruit and train teachers from their communities to earn a degree in their teacher certification. Members, what this does is it allows our districts to challenge and encourage high school students to enter the teacher pipeline. It also encourages paraprofessionals with 60 hours of college credit to enter the teacher pipeline and become an educator. I appreciate the comments from the committee, concerned about some of the elements of the educator prep language, and you will no longer find that in this committee substitute. The bill also provides a phased-in approach to ensuring teachers in our classrooms are certified, and provides a stipend in the amount of $1,000 for districts to help them receive their certifications. Members, one of the things that we know is that the bill originally created a target for 0 uncertified teachers in our classrooms in a very short period of time. Well, immediately after the hearing, local superintendents from my district, one assistant superintendent who happens to be my spouse, said, "That sounds great, but let me tell you how hard that is." So what this does, this puts our districts on a much-needed glide slope to increase teacher certification, but it also recognizes that in August you have to have school, and that 0% certifications is something I know our districts will strive for, but we also must face the harsh realities that we must grow the teacher pipeline. We've only highlighted a few of the updates today in the committee substitute, and these things are on top of many of the great aspects that are in the filed legislation and remain there today, such as significant increase in special education funding and a change in the way that we fund special education, moving away from a seat count to intensity of service model that better reflects the cost of education to deliver those services to special education students in Texas public schools. The small and mid-size allotment remains in the bill. The expansion of the teacher incentive allotment to make sure the best teachers in our classrooms remain there, that they're on a pathway to earning 6 figures, and that they're rewarded for their hard work, but also for their incredible outcomes. Significant investments, $880 million of additional investments in compensatory education, to help target those most at risk that literally are scattered across the state of Texas in significant numbers in nearly every school district. Property value study grants to make sure that when the local CAD and the comptroller are having disagreements about property values, that our school districts don't take it all on the chin and lose hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in funding in something that they have zero control over. It remains in the bill. Regional insurance support to support those districts who have seen insurance costs increase by the thousands of percents, taking dollars directly from the classroom simply to pay the premiums. And there's more in this bill. Members, I want to thank you again for all your help with this legislation, but I also want to ask for your help as we move forward over the next several days. The committee substitute for House Bill 2 represents a strategic, student-centered investment in public education. It provides teacher support and a substantial investment in special education, all while ensuring district flexibility. I look forward to working with all of you to ensure that this bill and other House priority funding bills, such as House Bill 120, House Bill 123, and House Bill 124, move forward through the Texas House and deliver the necessary resources to our students and our schools.